little lining everybody up on the other side of the teeter-totter, and I did all this side. I somehow convinced them that that was the best way to ride the teeter-totter, was me do all the rides on the other side.
When the doubt gets loud, but answer that call. Vision ain't real till you grind that speed, so breathing deep. Then call the damn leads. Call the damn leads.
Hey, welcome back to Call the Damn Leads, the show by sales professionals for sales professionals. I'm your host, Drewbie Wilson. With more than 2 decades in sales, I've seen it, been through it, heard about it. Now I'm bringing those stories to you, my favorite people in the world, the sales community. So let's be honest, this is the greatest show on earth. It doesn't matter where you come from, what background, what personality type, you can make an amazing life in sales. And today's guest, no stranger to the journey. I'd like to welcome Kelly Lorenzen to the show. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I want to jump right in. I want to hear your crazy sales story.
Oh my gosh, so many. Especially being a business owner 20-something years, you get used to sales. It's kind of comes easily, naturally to me. I think, from the time I was little, lining everybody up on the other side of the teeter-totter, and I did all this side. I somehow convinced them that that was the best way to ride the teeter-totter, was me do all the rides on the other side. I don't know. My parents used to say I sell ice to Eskimos. It just comes naturally to me, but I know that a lot of people struggle with it. And I think it's just asking for the referral, asking for the business, being straight and direct, but also caring about people, listening to humans, figuring out what their need is. So to me, sales isn't hard, but I know it is for a lot of people, and I'm sure a lot of your listeners. For sure.
For you, being that you don't consider sales to be super difficult, what do you think is like your superpower? What is it that separates you from all the people that say sales is difficult?
I think of it as you have to have sales in order to run a business. You have to run a business in order to give back to community and to be able to support your family. And so there's like all these other reasons why sales is a necessity. And so it's just, but also it just is so easy, comes so naturally. So I feel like I have a little bit of a just, advantage to most people. But I think most people think it's scary because they're like, somebody's going to say no. Oh, well, who cares? You move on to the next one. It's all in the numbers and the approach and how many times and how you get good at it. And, all the things, the choir.
What does your sales process look like currently, right? I think that's something everybody is always trying to figure out, like, what is the right sales process? So what do you do with your clients? How do you typically take them from, no idea who you are to becoming a client of yours?
So I do a ton of networking. Most of our business comes from either referrals from other clients, referral partners, or networking. And building the relationships, showing people that I am what I say I am, I do what I say I'm going to do. Follow up and follow through is everything, right? So you can have a good sales conversation, but if they're not quite ready and you never follow up or follow through, you're going to miss more than half of the business because you didn't do the follow up and follow through. So
I love the follow up conversation. For the folks that are doing the networking but feel like they're going to these events and they're talking to these people but they're not seeing any fruits from it, what do you consider to be good follow-up after an event? Like, how do you stay in contact with these people without coming across the wrong way?
So I'll always ask for contact. What's their favorite? Email, LinkedIn, whatever their favorite is, Instagram. And then send them a follow-up message after I meet them. It was nice to meet you. Would love to have a virtual coffee with you have another face-to-face second interaction, learn more about them as a human, what they need. I love referring people. I love connecting people. So as long as they're a good human, I'll connect them to other good humans, give back, give them something. Explain, obviously, what we do as a resource to small businesses, A lot of times then they go, you do what? You know, and if you get the lean in, then, you're like, okay, maybe this could be a good, maybe they'll want to have you help them. And then follow up with an email. It was nice to meet you. If you ever need anything, here's my link to a free consult. Here's my link to what we call a brain dump session if you want to just pick my brain. And then put them in our drip campaign and follow up. And then I usually send monthly emails, or a personalized email a couple months later. How's it going? You told me about that thing. Obviously, we have a good CRM system for a lot of the follow up and follow through.
Yeah, and that's the key to this, right? You can build a lot of relationships, you can talk to lots of people, but if you're not systematically staying in front of them, you're not creating that awareness and that value proposition in terms of why would they even want to consider continuing that relationship, you're definitely missing out. And so I love to hear that you're building the sequences and you're setting that up. I think a lot of young sales professionals and entrepreneurs, we'll throw small business owners, right? Whatever label you put on yourself at this point, people, you all fit in one big box of sales, folks. Like we all selling something. And the systematic process of this is what allows someone to stay in business for 20 years. And so what was it like for you early on? Did you always have like a systematic mind, or was this something that you had to fall on your face before you figured out?
I hired coaches right out the get. So having people in your corner who've been there, done that. My first business was in real estate. We scaled it very quickly. I had a very large team. But because I did what I said I was going to do, I followed through. I learned everything about the business for 3 months before I sold anything. So it's like educating yourself and then continuing the relationships and always doing what I say I'm going to do, and just being a good human, I think helps.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably going to hear us reference this a couple times throughout the episode, folks. But like being a good human is kind of baseline for being successful. It doesn't require a lot, but just start there, and you're going to find a lot of things start falling into your favor, which is kind of cool. And what I always think is interesting, with real estate especially, it has a special place in my heart. Agents, some of you are the worst. Just being 100% honest with you. This is why Call the Damn Leads exists, because I owned a marketing company and I used to get leads for agents. And guess what? Y'all didn't want to call them. And so this is where having a system and a process and staying top of mind becomes really key. So what made you decide to get out of the real estate game? You build a big team, but like why walk away from it if that's what you did?
The market crashed and I was helping all of the people that I became friends with lose their house, short sell their house, move into an apartment, and I just couldn't stomach it. I was too close. I didn't have any of the separation, because they became good friends of mine. So I was working, 80 hours a week helping people lose their house. And I was like, I didn't get into the business to do that.
That's an interesting path. I want to go down that path for a second, because I do believe that they're in a sales professional's career journey, you will find that certain offers, products, services, you get excited about it at first, but then you start to realize that the alignment isn't really there. And I think that's a really difficult conversation for people to have with themselves and with their community, because like we get into sales to make money. And you might be making a lot of money in that job, but if it's not in alignment and something in your core, like Kelly just referenced, like if it's tugging at you, you've got to be willing to kind of look inside and have that conversation with yourself. So Kelly, when you're going through this, you have a successful business and career, you decide I can't stomach this. Like, where do you go from there?
I had to have a conversation with everybody around me, right? My business partner at the time felt like I was, divorcing her. And I was like, I'm not divorcing you. It's the business. So I had to really maintain that relationship. I had to make sure, I talked to my family. We had a family medical practice. So I was, my mom's like, just come back to the business, help me grow that. If you can sell yourself, you can sell anything, and it's so much easier to sell your family or your not you directly. If you're selling something you're passionate about, it makes it so much easier to sell, right? I was so passionate at the time selling people their dream homes. Then I'm like, I'm not passionate about helping people lose their house. Like I need to be passionate, you know? So you just have to really decide that that's not, doesn't feel good. And I was making myself sick and I had a little baby at home and I was like, this is not, this is not working anymore.
Yeah, it's a really interesting season when you go through those times of your career journey. And I mean, anybody who's been in the game long enough will tell you they've had some really, really high highs and some really, really low lows. And at the end of the day, it just comes back to really focusing on what do you want out of life. And one of the things that I heard you mention that I think is really interesting is when we're trying to figure out what we want out of life, a lot of people get the idea to become an entrepreneur, a sales professional, right? They're like, hey, I'm going to start a business and I'm going to do this and I'm going to offer all these things. And then they go into business for themselves and they get on the phones and they start realizing that, holy crap, it is a lot harder to sell myself than to sell somebody else's thing or whatever the product service that it is. How did you how did you handle that? Like, because it, I know from personal experience what a crazy shift it is. So I want to know what you did and kind of how you handled that, because I think there's a lot of people listening that will realize that, oh shit, I'm in that joint where it's like I was really great before, but now I'm having a hard time selling myself.
Yeah. So in every business we owned, if it was the real estate, I was selling houses. If it was the medical practice, I was selling, you know, like people feeling better or the family, right? It wasn't really me. We had a DME company. I was selling actual physical product, you know, at 10,000 SKUs, compression stockings. Like it wasn't, then I come and start this almost 10 years ago, this KLM business. And I was like, uh-oh, like this is the first time I have to sell myself, like actually sell me, my intellectual property, my brain, and what I built over the last, you know, 15 years before that, and sales and how to get entrepreneurs to understand like they cannot keep doing everything themselves. They have to outsource, they have to delegate, they have to do all these things. Why would they delegate to me? Well, because I've been there, done that before. So I had to shift my mind from I'm not selling myself, I'm selling them peace of mind, I'm selling them time back. You know, like what you got to pick something else because it's way easier to sell something else than it is being like, oh yeah, I'm the best. You know, I know everything. I'll help you with whatever. It's, you know, you have to say no. I'm actually selling them. They get to go on a vacation with their family because they outsource stuff to us. You know, they get to have time off and not burn out and continue going with their business because of the help we give. Right. So you just have to shift the brain a little bit.
Well, and I love that you say that because you also mentioned, you know, people want that peace of mind. They want the time. They want to be able to travel. And what some people will do early in their career is they'll take on every client and they'll promise them the world for pennies on the dollar and then realize that, oh my God, I've basically slaved myself to this person now. And they don't want to tell them no and they don't want to put up those boundaries. And that is, I think, one of the things that we can talk about because we have the experience of having been through it. But if you're early in your journey and you're realizing that, man, I've got clients that are just driving me up the walls and always asking for things, and I can't leave my computer and I could never go on vacation, I really want you to stop and think about what your life is right now. Because there's seasons for that, right? Don't get me wrong. Kelly, you probably agreed. Like sometimes we got to really grind. And also, though, like life is worth living. So Kelly, I want your perspective on, you know, how you look at building your business, because I think outsourcing, delegating is really key. I always coach our people on three pieces: automate, delegate, eliminate. If you can automate it, great. If you can delegate it, awesome. If not, try to get rid of that as quickly as possible. So, how did you kind of start down that path, and what were some of the first things that you did once you figured it out?
The faster you hire, the faster you're going to grow your business. So whether that's hiring an internal person and delegating to your team or outsourcing it to other, you know, professionals that are good at what they do, you have only so much time and capacity, and you can't build and you can't grow and think about the big picture and all those and be creative if you're inundated every single day with all the little things. In 2020, I hired for this business, hired our first employee. We grew by 200%. Most people think that you will, oh my God, I can't afford that. There's no way I can afford that. I promise you, you hire somebody, you will figure out a way to make money to be able to pay them, and probably a lot more than that. Because you're like, wait a second, I can breathe. I can go after more leads. I can go after more sales because I have other people doing the things that takes too long. Even if it's 10 minutes a day, you shouldn't be doing it. If somebody else can do it, do it. Let them do it.
It's a very difficult thing to let go of the stuff you believe you're the only person that can do. I promise you, you're not. There's somebody else that can do it and probably do it better than you. I hate to say, um, and understanding what that process looks like is something I do a lot with clients as well. Because early on, it's like, hey man, I could teach you sales. None of that matters. What's your time worth and where are you spending it? Because that's what's going to immediately tell us what things look like. And so, in this example, if you are making, let's just say, $100,000 a year, and you're a normal average person working 40 hours a week, blah, 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 you make like $50 an hour. So anything that you're doing that could be delegated to somebody for $20 an hour, you're literally robbing yourself all day long. Or not yourself, could be your family, people you care about, like your health. There's so many people that I don't have time to go to the workout. I don't have time to go to the gym. Like you do. You're just doing stuff you shouldn't be doing. And so, Kelly, what are some of the first things that people really should be looking at outsourcing or getting off of their plate early on in their career?
QuickBooks, get rid of, do not do your own books. Get a bookkeeper, get an accountant. Do not spend any moments on your bookkeeping or your accounting. Number one. Number two, your marketing. Other people can do that. Like
Yeah.
get rid of that immediately. And then, then a lot of stuff can be automated now with AI. So look at what things are repeatable and that you do over and over and over the exact same way. If you're doing stuff over and over and over the exact same way, chances are it can be automated or for sure delegated to an assistant who has an SOP. We video record them, also written so they can follow exactly. We train them. Okay, here you go. Now that's not your job anymore, and stop doing that.
Yeah.
Because it really can affect your health. And if you're not prioritizing that, I've been there, I've burnt out twice. And luckily, the third time I could have burnt out getting breast cancer. I didn't because I was ready the third time. I like learned my lesson the first two times. Like, no, I had delegated, I had a team around me, I had everything systemized and, all the processes in place so I could be completely off the grid for 2 weeks and not worry about anything. I knew my clients were taken care of. We still grew 25% that year. Like, it is, I promise you, it feels terrible because it feels like it's like you're giving away your baby. That's what the kind of the control is for entrepreneurs or, somebody who's really good at something. But you have to think of it a different way. I say you're giving somebody else a chance at money, right? To earn money. It can be whatever you don't really like. If you don't really like something, pick that as the it. And away, it doesn't have to be far away. It can be, just one arm's length away, but at least you're not having to do it. So you can go to the gym, so you can, breathe, go on vacation.
Yeah, it's when you start looking at all the things you do on a day-to-day basis, right? When you start figuring out what your time is worth and you start paying attention to like, oh man, I just spent 3 hours doing this thing, you'll find those things that you know you have to do. At the end of the day, there's certain things like you just have to do. Nobody else can do them for you. But there's going to be some stuff that you're doing that you're like, maybe I don't want to do this anymore. And it's going to feel so good when you hire that out, right? And it's or you're going to have to be like me and it's like I loved mowing the lawn, right? I have a Hank Hill tattoo. I used to love taking care of the grass. Like that was my thing. but 2.5 hours a week mowing the lawn. When I started my own business and I was making, more money, I couldn't justify it. As much as I love doing it, I could not justify it. And there's certain things like that you're going to have a little bit of a struggle letting go of. But you do it, you realize that time can be better spent in places like family, working out, whatever it looks like for you. Because again, success is a perspective. My version is going to be way different than Kelly's. And if you were to go back in time and ask our parents on the day that we're born what the future looks like for that beautiful little baby version of us, it would be drastically different than anything we are living right now. And so it's just really important that you get clarity about what you want out of life. And Kelly, it sounds like you had a pretty heavy experience you had to go through, and having all of these things in place really gave you the permission to go through it and experience it the way that you needed to.
Yeah, I was very lucky. I it's like an insurance policy. You're setting yourself up just for the just in case. And do it now, do it while you're healthy, do it before you can't sleep, every night, like don't get to the burnout phase. That's why a lot of people don't last in sales. They don't last in entrepreneurship because they burn out, because they go way too long without delegating, without outsourcing. It's not good.
I agree. It's hard. I talk to people every single day. They're buying our books and our programs, and they're saying, "Man, I've been in this game a long time, and I got to pick up the phones. I got to do the thing." And it's like, all right, well, starts with getting clarity about what you want out of your life, and really focusing on the actions you're taking every day to get there. And Kelly, I'm sure we could sit here and nerd out like all day on this because this has been a fantastic conversation. But I want to respect your time. How do we find you, follow you, check out more of your content, and see all the goodness that you're bringing to the world?
Thank you. Yeah, so our website's duplicatemyselfklm.com. I just published a book called Do What You Love and Outsource Everything Else. That is on all the major, support your local bookstore. So search Kelly Lorenzen on your local bookstore and it'll come up. And that's a good guide for brand new people in entrepreneurship. That'll really help guide them. And then I'm on every social channel. Do what you love, or the same. Duplicate myself, KLM.
I love that. And we'll make sure we put all that in the show notes so you guys can find it really easy. And here's the deal. If you enjoyed the episode, you got some value out of it, share it on social media, tag me and Kelly, let the world know you got something from this today. Maybe you know somebody who sucks at delegating or putting up boundaries and they're just driving themselves crazy and completely burn out. Send them this episode. You don't have to tell them they suck or like they're crazy or that they're burnouts or nothing. No, you just send them the episode. Hey, I was listening to this. I thought of you. I think you'll like it. Because that's what this is all about. Spreading the message, sharing the stories of all the things sales professionals have gone through so that you can come out the other side more prepared to build the life that you want out of sales. So if you have a crazy sales story and you want to share it with the rest of us, head over to callthedamnleads.com/podcast. Send us your details. We'd love to have you on the show. While you're there, grab a hat, grab a sweatshirt, grab some swag. So you know what to do next. Pick up the phone, call the damn leads. We'll see you guys next time.
When the doubt gets loud, but answer that call. Vision ain't real till you grind at speed, so breathing deep. Then call the damn leads. Call the damn leads.